Hello everyone, welcome back. Now with the NHL's 2025 NHL entry draft done, we're doing a first round recap. I'm going to give you the first 32 picks of this year's NHL draft and how I think these moves affect the current teams going forward. We do this every year. I'm going to do it again. Remember to stay tuned for all 32 picks coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before I begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for Tuesday's live stream at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, talking about the free agency that's going to happen on that day. So definitely don't forget to stay tuned for that. But in today's video, we've got a draft recap video. So basically I'm going to be going 1 through 32, giving you who the NHL team selected in the first round of the draft. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on how you guys think this first round shaked out. Were you surprised? Were you happy for some of these teams? Were you upset by some of these picks? And were you surprised by any of them? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. So with the first overall selection in the 2025 draft, the New York Islanders had it. They won the draft lottery and they wound up selecting Matthew Schaefer. Schaefer's a left shot defenseman. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. So he put up 7 goals and 22 points, 17 OHL games. The Islanders recently just traded Noah Dobson, so to see them acquire Matthew Schaefer is pretty gosh dang good. He's going to be a solid top 4 defenseman, could sort of round out that team in the top 4 and be a very solid puck moving defenseman. I think long term is going to be a very fantastic top pair guy for the Islanders and probably one of the better defensive prospects that's been taken in recent years. So very interesting note there, but the Islanders went Schaefer first overall. At second overall, the San Jose Sharks, to at least not my surprise, did wind up taking Michael Misa. Misa is a center. He can also play wing though. He's 6'1", 183 pounds, put up 62 goals and 134 points in 65 OHL games, was a beast over in Saginaw. I think long term he is probably viewed as like a top line winger with Celebrini and Smith already still there. They've got their 1-2 punch down the middle, but with the ability of Misa playing on the wing, I think Misa is going to fit really well as a left winger, maybe even on a line with Celebrini, and that's going to be a very scary duo to face for years to come. So a solid pickup here from the Sharks as they take Misa. Third overall was the Chicago Blackhawks, and to nobody's surprise, they took Anton Frondell. Frondell, 6'1", 205 pounds, put up 11 goals and 25 points in 29 hockey offensive games. Now, the Hawks have options now. I could see them have Frondell as their second line center behind Connor Bedard. I could also see them in a couple of years' time have Frondell be the top line center and move Bedard to the wing with Bedard's playmaking abilities. So Frondell's a bigger type forward, has a bigger frame to him. I think he'd be more suited as a first line center, but I could see him be a second line center. So either way, a bounty of riches for the Chicago Blackhawks as they take Frondell at third overall. Fourth overall was the Utah Mammoth, and a little bit of my surprise, they wound up taking Caleb Desnoyers. Desnoyers, 6'2", 172 pounds, had 35 goals, 84 points, 56 QMJHL games. He's going to be a very fantastic second line center long term for Utah. They already have Cooley. Cooley's a really solid top line center. I don't think that's going to change, but I think Desnoyers can be a very lethal second line center, and you add him to a forward group that already consists of guys like Cooley as well as Gunther, Peterka, and Keller. That's going to be one of the most scariest top 6s to face in the entire NHL, and that's a fantastic pickup here from the Utah Mammoth, who wound up also winning a draft lottery spot. So very interesting note there, but Desnoyers goes to Utah at 4. At 5, we have the Nashville Predators, and they wound up taking another center here, and that's Brady Martin. Martin, 6', 187 pounds. He had 33 goals and 72 points in 57 OHL games. I think long term, Martin's going to be a great pickup here for the Nashville Predators. I think he's not on the huge side, but he's not on the smaller side either. He's a pretty good sized player, and I do think long term with the Preds not having a clear cut number 1 center on this team, I could see Martin be the top line center long term on the Nashville Predators. Also, wouldn't be surprised if he was the team's second line center, but I definitely think he has first line center potential. So the Predators get a solid add here, and they take Martin at 5th. At 6 overall, you had the Philadelphia Flyers, and they go best player available here. Instead of going after a position of need like a center, they take Porter Martone. Martone's 6'3", 205 pounds. He's a right winger. He had 37 goals and 98 points in 57 OHL games, was a beast over in Mississauga. I think Martone long-term is bound to be a top 6 power forward type player. If you put him on a line with maybe Matvei Mishkov and Trevor Zegras, that's going to be a scary top line for the Philadelphia Flyers. So a great add here as the Philadelphia Flyers took Porter Martone. Then at 7th overall, you had the Boston Bruins. And like I said in my mock draft, they do wind up going with James Hagens. Hagens is 5'10", 185 pounds. He's a center, had 11 goals and 37 points in 37 NCAA games this past year. I view him a little bit like a Jack Hughes type player. He's on the smaller side, but he's a very dynamic guy who can play first line center minutes. And this Boston Bruins team did not have a clear-cut first line center either in their system or already at the NHL level. So I think long-term, Hagens is going to be a great pickup there for the Boston Bruins. So very interesting note there, but the Bruins do take Hagens and stop his fall after he was projected to be a top 2 pick last year in the offseason. Then at 8th overall, to my surprise, the Seattle Kraken did not go best defenseman available, which I thought they would have definitely done. But they wound up taking Jake O'Brien. O'Brien's the center, 6'2", 170 pounds, had 32 goals, 98 points in 66 OHL games. O'Brien's a good center, do not get me wrong, but the Kraken already have Wright, they already have Beniers, Catan, Chalet. Like, they already have guys who can play center. So I think O'Brien, long term, could be a solid second, third line center there for the Seattle Kraken, be a very solid dynamic type player. I could also see O'Brien transition to the wing and maybe play in the top 6 on the wing, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But as much as it's a little bit surprising to me, the Kraken do end up taking O'Brien. At 9th overall, the Buffalo Sabres took Radim Murka. Beautiful pickup here from the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres take the right shot defenseman who's 6'6", 218 pounds, had 3 goals and 35 points in 43 WHL games. He's going to be a mammoth type player on the Buffalo Sabres blue line. He's a right-handed defenseman, something the Sabres don't have a whole bunch of, and he's going to be a great addition here for the Buffalo Sabres. So very interesting note there, but the Buffalo Sabres at 9th overall take Murka. Then at 10th overall, like I thought he was going to go, the Anaheim Ducks took Roger McQueen. At 10th overall, he suffered an injury which hampered his production last year. Only had 10 goals and 20 points in 17 WHL games, but he still looks like he's going to project to be a solid, maybe second line forward. You can play center, you can play wing. Very versatile guy, could really fit well with the young Ducks core that already has guys like Carlson, McTavish, and Gauthier. So I think that could be a really solid pickup here for the Ducks. He's 6'5", 192 pounds. Will be a very hard guy to play against. Could see him be their future second line center behind McTavish. Could also see him play on the wing. So a very solid pickup here from the Ducks as they take McQueen. Then a little bit of an out-of-the-park type pick here. But the Pittsburgh Penguins, with the 11th overall selection, took Benjamin Kindel. Kindel is a 5'10", 181-pound right winger who was playing over in Calgary in the WHL, putting up 35 goals, 99 points in 65 games. Kindel was a beast. I think they were going the low teens, maybe the early 20s, somewhere around there. Definitely be a first-round pick, but maybe be on the lower side of things. So to see him go at 11 is a little bit of a shell shock to me, who I thought he was going to go a little bit lower. The Penguins do wind up going with him at 11th overall, so definitely a bit of a surprise there. But I do think long-term skill type guy, even though he's on the smaller side, I think he will be a really solid fit there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So they take him. Then at 12th overall, the Pittsburgh Penguins made a trade with the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers trade up to pick number 12, and with the 12th overall pick, a little bit of a surprise here because I didn't have him going in the first round. The Philadelphia Flyers took Jack Nesbitt at 12th overall. A very good pickup here. He's a center prospect, 6'4", 183 pounds, put up 25 goals, 64 points in 65 OHL games. So he's going to be a beast at the NHL level, bigger type frame, but reminds me a lot of Jet Luchenko last year, where he was a guy who's supposed to go late first, early second round, and the Flyers traded, and they got Luchenko like 13th when he could have been available at like the late 20s. So I think it's going to be a solid pickup here, and I think Nesbitt eventually could be a solid second or third line center there for the Flyers. I just think it might be a little bit too much that they trade up to get him, so very interesting note there. At 13th overall, we had the Detroit Red Wings, and the Red Wings were able to select Carter Bear with a 13th overall selection. So a little bit of a surprise here. I thought we'd go a couple picks lower. I thought the Red Wings would go for the defenseman, but they do get a solid player here. Bear, a center slash left winger, 6 foot, 279 pounds, had 40 goals and 82 points in 56 WHL games. Like, he was a great player over in the WHL. I think long term has the potential to be a middle six guy. Could be a team second line center of the future. Could also see him be top six winger potential as well. So I think he's got the frame, the size, and the skill to be a very solid player in the Red Wings top six or at least top nine. So a really good pickup here for the Detroit Red Wings. At 14th overall, it was the Columbus Blue Jackets falling into their lap. The Jackets select Jackson Smith, 14th overall. He's 6', 390 pounds, had 11 goals, 54 points in 68 WHL games, was a great player over in the WHL. I thought he would have gone probably top 10 as like the second or third best defenseman in this draft, but he does wind up falling to 14th and the Jackets scoop him up. I think long term he has the very good potential to be the team's second pair left shot defenseman behind Zach Werenski in maybe a year or two's time. So I think this is a great pickup here for the Jackets as they take Jackson Smith. At 15th overall, we had the Vancouver Canucks, and they wound up taking center prospect Braden Coots with the 15th overall selection. Coots is a 6', 183 pound center. I think there were better players out there, but positionally, this is a great add here for the Canucks. Coots had 26 goals and 63 points in 60 WHL games this past year. Was a really great player over there. I think he could be a very good addition here for the Canucks. I think he might actually have the potential to be the team's long-term second-line center. So a very good pickup here for Canucks at 15th overall. Then at 16th overall, thanks to a trade that happened earlier in the day with the Montreal Canadiens that sent Dobson to Montreal, the Islanders got the 16th and the 17th overall pick. And with those two picks, the New York Islanders selected Victor Eklund 16, and they took Kishan Aitchison 17. First, it was Eklund. He's a left winger, 5'11", 170 pounds, so he's on the smaller side of things, but a very dynamic goal scorer, had 19 goals and 31 points in 42 Hockey Allsvenskan games. Lethal player there, and I think long term, you put him in a top six, it's going to have guys like Barzal, it's going to have guys like Eisman, it's going to have guys like Ritchie. That's going to be a scary top six to face for the New York Islanders, and they're building something special there. So a great addition here as Eklund falls into their lap. Well, they also get Kashawn Aitchison. Aitchison's a left shot defenseman, 6'1", 198 pounds with 26 goals, 59 points in 64 OHL games. He's a beast to play against. Like, he is a great player, uses his body to his abilities. Long term, the Islanders just got two of their top four defensemen. They have Aitchison as their second pair guy and Schaefer as their first line guy. Like, long term, the Islanders just got their two top end defensemen. So a really good pickup here for the Islanders as they get Aitchison at 17 and they get Eklund at 16, and both guys, in my opinion, fell into our lap. So really good stuff there for the Islanders. And then at 18th overall, we have the Calgary Flames, thanks to a New Jersey Devils trade a little while ago with the Markstrom deal. And with the 18th overall selection, the Calgary Flames took Cole Reschny from the Victoria of the WHL. Reschny is a forward. He can play center, he can play wing. He is on the smaller side. He's 5'10", 187 pounds, but he had 26 goals and 92 points in 62 WHL games. We know that the Flames are not opposed to taking smaller end players, and I think Reschny long term is going to be a very solid skill type guy. Could he be the second line center? Maybe. I could see him resemble some sort of like a Marco Rossi, but I would not be one bit surprised if the Flames used him as like a winger. So very just note there, but a solid pickup here from the Flames as they get Reschny. Then at 19th overall, we had the St. Louis Blues, and they took right winger Justin Carbonneau with the 19th overall pick. 6'1", 192 pounds, playing the QMJHL last year, putting up 46 goals, 89 points in 62 games. He was a really solid top six player there in the QMJHL. I think long term has the ability to maybe be an addition on the winger side to the St. Louis Blues. Like, they already have Dean Dvorsky and to some extent Bolduc, who can play center. Bolduc's more of a winger at this point, but I think add Carbonneau to that sort of a team, maybe in their middle six, that could be a really solid skill type guy. Carbonneau has a bigger body and could be a solid power forward type player who can put the puck in the net. So very interesting note there, but the Blues took Carbonneau 19th overall. At 20th overall, we had the Columbus Blue Jackets. They took a goaltender, which no too much surprise. They just traded Tarasov. Merzlikins seems to be heading out, so they needed some sort of a switch up on the goaltending side, but they did not take the goaltender I thought they would. Instead of taking Ravensbergen, who I predicted to be the only goalie going in the first round, they took Pichori Andrianov. Andrianov, 6'2", 207 pounds, had a 1.75 GAA, 942 save percentage in 37 MHL games. So he's going to play in the KHL for the next couple of years. Probably won't come over to the NHL or to the pro level until 2 or 3 years' time, but I think in time, the Jackets could have found their future franchise goaltender. Andrianov looks great over in the KHL, or the MHL, one of the lower leagues in the KHL, and I do think long-term the Jackets may have found their starter. So a really solid pickup here from the Jackets as they take Andrianov. Then 21st overall, I had a little bit of a swap. The Predators traded up from 23 to 21, giving 23 to the Ottawa Senators, and with the 21st overall selection, the Nashville Predators took left shot defenseman Cameron Reed. Reed, 6 foot, 174 pounds, had 14 goals and 54 points in 67 OHL games. Solid player there. I think Reed long term seems to be like the second pair left shot defenseman behind a guy like Roman Josi. Maybe eventually could be a top pair level guy for the Predators. So I do think this is going to be a solid pickup here for the Preds as they get Cameron Reed. At 22nd overall, thanks to the earlier trade, it was the Pittsburgh Penguins who were on the clock, and they used this selection to take left winger Bill Zonin. Zonin, 6'2", 190 pounds. He put 28 goals and 55 assists, 83 points in 64 games. So they had already taken Kindel, who was a smaller winger, before, and now they take a bigger winger in Zonin, 6'2", 190 pounds. He's going to be a beast to play against. Long term, I think he's going to be sort of like a power forward type guy. Playing in the top 6, could maybe see him play with a guy like Sidney Crosby long term. So very just note there, but that's a solid pickup here from the Penguins as they get Zonin. At 23rd overall, the Ottawa Senators were picking, and I don't think it comes as any surprise as he falls into their lap. The Ottawa Senators, with their 23rd overall selection, take Logan Hensler. Hensler's a right shot defenseman, 6'2", 196 pounds, had 2 goals, 12 points in 32 games. I thought that Hensler would probably gone a little bit higher, but to see him fall into Ottawa's lap was a great move there for Ottawa. Right shot defenseman, I thought he would have gone somewhere else, but Hensler being on the board, absolutely, you take it. He's a solid right shot defenseman long term. I think could work in that top 4 of the Ottawa Senators. If he works out well, you could have a top 4 long term of Shabbat, Sanderson, Yakimchuk, Hensler. That would be one of the scariest top 4s in the entire NHL. So very interesting note there, but the Senators get another solid right shot defenseman in Hensler. Then with the 24th overall pick, there was another trade. The Pittsburgh Penguins were able to trade up in the draft and get the 24th overall pick from the LA Kings in exchange for a 31st overall pick. So the Pittsburgh Penguins had a 24th overall pick. And with the 24th overall pick now, the Pittsburgh Penguins selected center prospect Will Horkoff. Horkoff, who's 6'4", 181 pounds, had 4 goals and 10 points in 18 NCAA games. I think he's going to be the long-term replacement for Evgeny Malkin. Malkin's only got 1 year left. Horkoff's going to be a couple of years in the college. But I think long-term, his size, his playmaking abilities, I don't think it's like Malkin, but I think he's going to be the Malkin replacement. So very interesting note there. But the Penguins had 3 first-round picks. They took a center, they took a left winger, and they took a right winger. So they drafted an entire top line. So very good stuff there for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then with the 25th overall pick, the Blackhawks were on the clock again, and this time they took a winger. They took Vaclav Nestoralsi. He's a 6'6", 185 pound right winger, had 19 goals and 42 points in 61 USHL games, was a behemoth over in the USHL. I think long-term Nestoralsi can eventually be a very solid top 6 winger for the Chicago Blackhawks. So another interesting pickup here is they took on Nestoralsi to join Frondell as their first-round picks. Then the Nashville Predators had their 3rd draft selection of the round, and they go a little bit off the board here because they thought it was going to fall into the 2nd round, but they take Riker Lee. Lee's a forward prospect, 6 foot, 181 pounds, had 31 goals and 68 points in 58 USHL games. Great pickup here for the Nashville Predators. I think long-term has top 6 potential. Might be able to be like the team's second-line center, but I think most likely he'll be a top 6 winger and be a very good one at that. So interesting note there, but at 26, the Nashville Predators took Lee. Then at 27th overall, we had the Washington Capitals, and they stop his fall. They take Lyndon Lakovic, the 27th overall pick. He's 6'4", 190 pounds, had 27 goals and 58 points in 47 WHL games. Bigger type guy, can play center, can play wing, very versatile guy. I think long-term could be a very solid stud player in the top 6 for the Washington Capitals with some of their other younger prospects that are coming in. So very interesting note there, but I definitely think this is going to be a great pickup here for the Caps, getting Lakovic. At 28th overall, we had the Winnipeg Jets, and they wound up taking Sasha Boumadwini. Bumadwini, who I was expecting to go a little bit earlier, I think it was, or a little bit later, sometime in the late first, so expecting him to go at this point in time. He's a left shot defenseman, 6'2", 283 pounds, had 3 goals and 13 points, 40 NCAA games. Really solid player. I think long term could be a great top 4 ad for the Winnipeg Jets, maybe with guys like Pionk and Morrissey long term on that team. He could be a very solid ad in a couple of years' time. So great pickup here for the Jets as they take Bumadwini. Then at 29th overall, we had another trade. Carolina Hurricanes acquired 3 draft picks from the Chicago Blackhawks for a 29th overall pick. And with the 29th overall pick in this draft, the Chicago Blackhawks took forward Mason West. West is a forward prospect, 6'6", 218 pounds, had a goal and 9 points in 10 USHL games. He's a very interesting case because he's also a football player. He says that he's going to commit to playing hockey after this season, but if he does commit to playing hockey, he's going to be a menace to play against. Top 6 guy, can play in the wing, can play as a center position, very versatile guy. So very interesting note there, but I definitely think this is a pretty good pickup here for the Blackhawks as they take, with the 29th overall pick, West. At 30th overall, you had the San Jose Sharks, and they took who I thought was going to be the first goalie off the board as the second goalie off the board, as they take Joshua Ravensbergen at 30th overall. The Sharks got a solid player here, 6'5", 192-pound goaltender. He had 3.00 GAA, 901 save percentage in 51 games over in the WHL. Looked like a beast over there. I think long-term Ravensbergen has the potential to be a solid starter at the NHL level, and I think long-term, maybe in like 3 or 4 years' time, Ravensbergen and Askarov is going to be one of the scariest goaltending tandems in the entire NHL. I think that's going to be a menace to play against, and I think this is a really good pickup here for the Sharks at 30th overall. At 31st overall, we had the Los Angeles Kings, and they went out taking defenseman Henry Bruskevich. Bruskevich is a 6', 194-pound right shot defenseman, had 10 goals and 42 points in 67 OHL games. Looks like a really good guy. The LA Kings would later trade Jordan Spence, which makes some sense. They already have a couple of decent right shot defensemen, so I think long term they could have a 1-2 punch on the right side of their defense with Brant Clark and Henry Bruskevich, and I definitely think that's going to be a really solid pickup here for the LA Kings. At 31st overall, and at 32nd overall, the last pick of the draft was the Calgary Flames, and they went out taking left winger Cullen Potter. Potter's 5'10", 172 pounds, had 13 goals, 22 points in 35 NCAA games. Looks like he's going to be a fantastic addition here for the Calgary Flames long term. I do think he has the potential to be a solid top 6 guy, along with a guy like Reshchny. So very interesting out there, but I think that's a solid pickup here for the Calgary Flames. So those are the 32 picks from the first round of the 2025 draft. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Are you surprised that this is where everyone else went? Are you surprised that some players didn't go as high as they were supposed to or as low as they were supposed to? What was your surprises? And which of these teams do you think did the best day on draft day 1? Definitely let me know your thoughts on all of that. And what was your opinion for all these NHL teams down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and for later, remember to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for Tuesday's live stream at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, talking about the free agency. So don't forget to stay tuned for that. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So remember to check that out. I've linked that down in the description below. Can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.